Dr. Corvino, what's going on, man?
Oh, I'm just really trying to get used to this Miami lifestyle. Thinking about moving the podcast here full time.
It's a tough life.
My wife's not going to be happy, but...
Baby, hop about my whip so I can drive. I knew that you loved me, but this was just a pass of time. Not in the books, but I read between the lines. Why do you drive me down so truly terrified? I'm hoping to coast like I'm a kite, no strings attached, so I can fly my own life. I was thinking percentage, she was thinking about the price. You can't love me.
My thought process going off of what you said, if you were to go that route, the way I would market it is if that kills, right, and the fit healthcare professional does super well, I would then consider possibly looking at, as a healthcare professional, then branching into, hey, as a healthcare professional, let me introduce to you the fit businessman, the fit stay-at-home mom, the fit whatever, and like start really branching into like random.
Real, yeah, I like that.
Because then you would start.
Wait, tell me this again. So
said another way. Let me try to restate it because it might.
You do it. You're better with words than I am.
All right, so
that's what I'm looks your words.
So
Probably
basically,
not.
like your first book would be like the fit healthcare professional. Right?
Yeah.
And it could have so much success around healthcare professionals because it has all these different types of things in there. Your next one could be like how to become the fit mom. So there's all different types of moms out there. There's the working mom. There's there's a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
There's the mom that's kind of in between or whatever. Then there's a mom that's also a healthcare professional. So that book would be like a next. So you would still be able. What I think he was getting to is you'd still actually be able to have this series, but it could start branching out to real crazy niches that wasn't just healthcare.
I see.
So
still doing a series, but just different focuses. So it's not like you said, just
The same
stamped out with a little tweak.
But what I think is that instead of it being like the series of the books being 90% the same, 10% different.
Right.
The other for the fit mom would be completely different.
Professional
And
That makes sense.
And you could still do what you love, and you have more credibility because you're a healthcare professional versus just some dude who works at GNC.
Yeah, I actually like that better. See, that's why I told you guys.
Did I say that right though?
No, yeah, that was way better than what I was saying. That's good. That's why we work well together, because like I can't get it out of here because my brain doesn't work all the time. Young dumb, bro.
So how to go, like why you should go to conferences, how to maximize networking. Where's my phone?
That's fine. I'll buy new ones.
I have a listing because
He's not even mic'd anymore. It's all going off the rails.
Sorry, guys. It's okay, we're here. I'm here.
I was at work last week and I literally was in the bathroom like I got some freaking good ideas, so I just wrote them down.
Great, man.
Yay.
So good first lesson.
Yeah. Hey, so if you want to spend $0, just anticipate clapping.
Yeah.
Do you pay for yours?
No.
Look at the more you know. We always have random charges on our credit card.
Baby, here's the thing about charges.
What is this?
But
Value, that's what it is.
yeah, it's called value.
Expensive.
Baby, it's not about the
It's
cost.
not expensive, it's priceless.
Yes,
Oh my
thank
God.
It's all
you.
about perspective.
It is, and you need to get a better one.
Oh boy.
We need to call this something in Miami. What do you think?
Oh, I gotta get my title juices flowing. I need some more cafe.
I feel like I'm filming an episode of freaking Cops or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Lori's just so
Or that
serious
cop
driving.
right
Or this, yeah, you take the lead. Fine, take the point. We'll follow right here.
I feel like I'm being.
The only formal part is here's the date. Let's plan like the dates. That's it.
And I wouldn't even think, because I would think at first, not even no charge, nothing. Because for us,
Once you build that momentum.
It would build the momentum, and then if nothing else, for the exposure, because all of their people are now seeing our stuff over the course of a whole weekend. Like everybody benefits.
Yep.
Everybody's crossing their followers up, and everybody's starting to follow everybody. And if you look, a lot of the people who follow me follow you too as well, and vice versa. And also, Paige the PA has done a really good job.
This content's been sick.
It's been good, but Steven has a lot of the same followers we do. And we have a lot of the same followers he does too now, which some of them are PAs, and I've noticed have been following all of us. So it's like,
what you're after is omnipresence.
right.
Which is the golden ticket.
Right.
Amen.
And we're not talking about Willy Wonka. We're not talking about Willy Wonka here. We're talking about the real ticket.
Yeah,
Going to
I
the
think
major
it's cool,
leagues.
Like, 'cause, like, I don't know, like, I know a lot of people do show up for like conferences and like, they look for those teams, but I don't know. I just feel like at some point it's like, all right, here we go, like another conference, like.
Yeah.
But I think if it's more just like, hey, guys, we're here hanging out in like a cool city, whether it be here or whatever city it may be, but like guys, like we're just meeting up and like chopping it up, figuring out how to like, continue
What are
to
your
grow.
thoughts about branding it though? Like, not conference, but like some sort of like.
I would think at first, for the first time we ever did it, or first 2 times we did it,
Like
let's
right
say.
now?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. the second time. Okay. Got it. Fine.
Have some more.
Cheese and ages. So okay.
Drink
So
from the big cup.
yeah. John, I'm tired. I pouring this little goofy cup still. Pour it in my little.
Wasting time.
Let me pour it in my little cup and spill it all over the counter. No. So. Second conference, we get a few more people, maybe even the third conference, right? Have more people, even that, and then that's when it starts getting big, and then we could look at, okay, let's bring students in here, and all of us take turns speaking and chopping it up. But getting the momentum, we would benefit in the short term from the exposure, and then really focus on how we could actually brand it. And I would even say that you have an invitational first night, and the other stuff is for Saturday and Sunday. That's the conference part. Invitational, everybody's trying to then be on your side, get on your side, and you create this like exclusivity that is like starting to be, oh my god, I got freaking asked to go to the invitational thing. F you guys.
Long brown hair, it's a TelQuel. She's so addicting, did they call that lean? Had to say what's up, so I'm in my mood. Some bullets, I prayed to God that she wanted to groove. I tried to impress her, so I threw some vibes, and she dug them, she was loved.
Hey guys, Dr. Adam Martin of TheFitPharmacist here in Miami, Florida with my 2 good friends, Dr. Richard Waith and Dr. Mike Corvino. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, man.
We gotta do that intro just one more time, because although all your stuff was ready, mine was not.
For the kids watching at home,
This is why the batteries die.
This is why you can't have nice things.
This is a lesson.
This is ruined. This whole broadcast. Let's call it a night.
Yeah. Go tuck me in.
Behind the scenes live is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. All the uncut.
All the uncut.
This is the most editing I've ever had to do it before ever. Alright.
Alright, so we got the kinks out, guys. Alright, it's ready to go.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
100%. 100%. 100%.
All right, let's give it another go. Hey guys, Dr. Adam Martin of TheFitPharmacist here in Miami, Florida, coming to you with my 2 good friends, Dr. Richard Waith of Rx Radio and Dr. Mike Corvino of Core Consult RX. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, man.
Super glad to be here. The consistency, and that's kind of where the 10 to 2 thing kind of fit in, right? So if anyone follows me on social media, a lot of times between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., you'll see me posting things hashtag 10 to 2. And that's basically something that randomly came about because at the pharmacy working at Publix, I was working from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. And when I got home, I would just get home and chill and like watch TV, maybe actually go to the gym sometimes. But I was like, all right, let's start working towards, your dreams, your passions and things like that. So the time worked out where when I got home from work around 9:30ish, I would eat, shower, and then literally go to work for another 4 hours from the hours of 10 at night to 2 in the morning. And then I would get 6 hours of sleep, and then I would wake up at 8 and then go to work and do it kind of all over again a couple times a week. So it turned into also it being now even on my days off, no matter what's going on during the day, even if I'm still working on some other stuff, I'm still going to be working from 10 at night till 2 in the morning. So on like building my brand, what I'm passionate about, networking. There's times I'm not even home, I'm out. But even though like I might be out somewhere, I'm still working on like whether it be networking or brand building or learning or something of the sort. So
that's an excellent habit that you've created that's really allowed you to build that skill set. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, definitely follow Rich. Where can they find you?
So on Twitter, which I absolutely adore, although some of my colleagues do not.
Shots fired.
But on Twitter, I'm at the Pharmacy Dude, and on Instagram, you can follow the podcast, which is rxradio.fm, and my personal Instagram is Richie Waithe. Richie is R-I-C-H-I-E, and my last name is W-A-I-T-H-E.
So if you guys are interested in building a habit like that, 10 to 2, or something similar to really allow yourself to tap into your passion project and allow it to flourish, but you've tried it before and you're not really sure where to start, there's actually an excellent book about this called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. One of the features on what I do is I love to read and, like Rich said, break it down into simple implementable steps. A lot of us in pharmacy, don't have the luxury of reading, or there's just so much to it, how to break it down. So I take that work out for you and I break it down to simple steps, the highlights for the book. So in the show notes, there will be a link to a review on The Power of Habit, breaking down how you can create that habit so you can leverage your passion project into something that over time will become an opportunity or even more. So thank you so much for sharing all that.
Just to add on, like one thing I do want to be clear on, because I do think a lot of people are going to watch this, and I want to like them to realize that 4 hours at night is what I found for my schedule. Now, I don't think that someone should be staying up late and doing that, because some people love mornings better.
Yes.
But I think the habit that I formed, even though it's at a specific time and it sounds fun because it's like, has 2 T's in it, whatever, I think the important part is just finding 4 hours in the day extra, or whatever you can afford per week, to realize that you can cut some things out and dedicate some time to your passions.
Right.
Just
Keywords,
that.
absolutely. Keywords, what works for you.
Yeah.
So it might not be 10 to 2, but trying, it's literally trial and error. So whatever system works for you that you can do consistently, that's really the key. So if right now you can only do 2 hours, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, like, I can only do 2, it's not enough, I'm done, not try. Try that, see where it goes. Over time, it's going to compound.
Yeah.
Which leads that to the next expert of Core Consult RX, Dr. Mike Rovino, Mr. Hustle. Welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's a
Good
pleasure,
to be
man.
here.
So, similar thing. You started crushing it in pharmacy school as an MMA fighter, actually.
Yes, that's true. I did. I fought professionally for 2.5 years during my time in pharmacy school.
That took tons of discipline, tons of sacrifice, and a lot of focus to get that. And then you came to pharmacy school, and I think you said around your 3rd, 4th year is really when pharmacy itself started to click, and you saw that potential.
So, I got kind of into I started fighting amateur as I got into school, and then I got offered to go pro during my first year, and that was kind of all consuming, and I was more focused on that than actual pharmacy school. And then I got married going into my 3rd year, and I kind of got to a point where during my 3rd year I kind of realized I had to make a choice. I had to pick one or the other to really focus. I knew MMA was not going to be the long-term play just because of the effects it has on your body. So I basically just put all of my focus back into pharmacy, and at the same time it was a really good, timing for the transition, because I don't work well in a classroom setting. I don't prefer to be, which is weird because I spend so much time in the classroom, but I don't like that at all. I did it because I had to. But when I went on rotation, that's my zone. Like, that is my game day. I love every second of being on rotation, even in rotations that were 12-hour shifts and brutal hours, whatever. I loved it. And so for me, I got to take that same passion and almost competitiveness, because that's really what drives me, is finding competition in whatever I'm doing, even amongst my friends. And and so, and it's totally not anything against anybody else. I just like to compete. I'll make competition with myself if I have to, just for something, to drive me. And so when I made that transition into, really focusing into solely on pharmacy and kind of letting the MMA go a little bit, I went right into rotations, and I was like, okay, well, now this is my opponent, this is what I'm tackling, and it was great. Like I had the best year of my life, which is what I had been dreading for the whole time, because I thought I was going to hate it because I was so miserable in a classroom. I was like, there's no way working tons of hours in a hospital is going to be better.
And with rotations, it's really looking at, cutting edge, what's new in medicine, what's new in pharmacy with evidence-based medicine. And a lot of people kind of shrug their shoulders when they hear that because they think, oh, studies, lots of research, data, and this and that. So again, we talked about taking complex things that are valuable and breaking it down to simplify. So what happened with evidence-based medicine and studies and trials? Because if any of you follow Mike on social media, you know that he is the trial master.
I was ninja,
yes.
like ninja.
Please excuse me.
So it's same kind of thing, honestly. When I was in the didactic portion of pharmacy school, I didn't enjoy looking at trials. I was like, why the heck do I need to know these statistics? And, I understood the concept of like being able to break down a study, but when I would hear some of these people that were high-level thinkers being able to like quote stats and work through these problems, I was like, well, what's the point of that? I didn't understand it. And then when I got in rotation, it made me realize that I'm not just doing this because I need to memorize some stuff to pass a test or pass boards. Like, these are people. And like, these are human beings that I'm supposed to take care of, provide, as the drug expert on the medical team, I'm supposed to be able to provide sound advice to the clinician that's prescribing or whatever, and making sure this patient's getting the best possible care. And it really just kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, well, I need to know what the best possible care is and why it's the best possible care.
Yeah.
I think pharmacists in general, we're really in that transition period where we're trying to prove our worth in amongst the healthcare team, and we've been kind of slower in that process. And it's different battles, different places, but I think that we have to be able to understand the why behind our recommendations when we're working, especially with an attending that's been practicing for 20 years.
Right.
He doesn't care what, at the time, when I was first getting out of school, I was 27 years old. He doesn't care what a 27-year-old's opinion is on the matter.
Yeah.
And so if you can give sound evidence and really understand the why behind it, it makes a humongous difference than just, I learned this in a textbook and that I think it's the right answer. It just adds that dynamic.
Right, and a lot of times through rotations we get, in that where we're, reading studies, really getting that passion. But then you graduate and things can happen. But with you, it took a different turn. You actually went deeper. You started going more into evidence-based medicine.
Yeah.
And tell us what opportunities that consistency led for you.
So, when I first was getting out of school, I think, and if any of you have followed me or heard any times that I've talked on YouTube or anything, I've mentioned this story, but when I was about 3 weeks out of graduating, I had a pharmacist that I looked up to as a good pharmacist tell me to really enjoy my time right now because this is the smartest you'll ever be. And I remember thinking, like, how crazy that is. Like, why do you mean the smartest I'll ever be? Like, we're the only profession that said, like, community pharmacists would be the only person that could ever get away with potentially saying that. And it's not true as far as the way it should be.
Right.
But there's a lot of people who will settle into that because you can maybe in certain areas get by. But I made an absolute promise to myself, that's no way that's happening. I'm not going to do that. And so I started consistently reading, studying, going over literature on my own every single day. It's very similar to kind of like what Richie was doing. The 10 to 2, I learned a lot better at night. And so I would get home from work and before I would go to bed, I would pick a study, go through it, pick out a drug, disease state, whatever, and go through that. And I did it every single night to the point where now it's just complete habit. Like, I can't go to sleep without doing it.
Right.
And I never had a goal as far as what that would open. I just was like, my goal was to just not forget everything. And so it was very arbitrary and very, I guess, counterintuitive to what you would think of as far as starting this process, because usually there has to be some sort of end goal. But what I found is that there's been so many opportunities that have opened up. My biggest one recently is I'm now teaching pharmacology, pharmacotherapy to physician assistant students. So these students that are in PA school, I'm now their adjunct professor for pharmacology. that was never on my radar. I never had any plans of doing that. If you had told me that 2 years ago, a year ago even, that was going to happen, I would have said you were crazy, because I'd be teaching pharmacy students is what I would have thought.
Right.
And so now I'm the only PharmD in this massive new building that's at Charleston Southern University, and it's a new program, but they're so on the cutting edges as far as technology and integrated that into learning, that I'm hanging out with all these physicians and PAs and nurse practitioners or whatever, and getting to see these clinicians and add my value to that, and they've like totally incorporated me into the team, and it's been great. It's been one of the best experiences I've ever had. But I truly believe that if I hadn't kept up with all that stuff over the last few years, that there's no way I would be able to fulfill that job, because it's hard now.
Right.
And if I had just not looked at any of my literature or looked at the new literature since I finished school, there's no way.
And
Wouldn't happen.
in addition to teaching, where do you work as a pharmacist?
So I work in a community setting as a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacy manager. And then I also work for the city of Charleston. They have this program that allows their employees, if they have diabetes, type 1 or type 2, to be enrolled in this program where they meet with the PharmD once every month, all the way to sometimes once every 3 months if they're well controlled. And they also meet with their physician regularly. And then as long as they meet both of those requirements and are attempting to progress and live a healthier lifestyle, the city pays for their medications and their care.
Wow.
And so I'll sit down and I get to actually go to these patients where they work. A lot of them work in a central hub. With some of them are mechanics, some of them are water utility guys, various jobs. And I get to actually go to their office, and before they head out on their trucks or whatever they're doing that day, I'll get to sit down with them in a conference room for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and just talk about whatever's that patient needs. Sometimes it's nutrition, sometimes it's carb counting, sometimes it's switching their insulin dose, sometimes it's just giving them encouragement because they have a lot of family things going on. They're just dealing with a lot, and their diabetes care is slipping. But it's been fantastic as far as getting to actually use all of our pharmacotherapy knowledge, but in a real patient-to-patient interaction, almost like an ambulatory care setting,
Right.
but much more relaxed because I'm in their office. I don't have to be white coat and very professional. I can kind of make it more of a friendship almost, and it allows them to open up, and it's really good. I've seen a lot of patients really change their numbers around because we've developed that almost like friendship between us.
Yeah. Really learning more about nutrition with my company, the Diet Doc, that I've been into since 2013. That really helps to empower patients to learn, not put them on a diet or on a supplement plan, but really educating them through not only nutrition, but also the mindset component to living a healthy lifestyle. So that's really been phenomenal and rewarding. For me, my focus now is travel and building those relationships to network with people that are also on that path, like you and Mike. So here I am in Miami talking to you fine bros.
Yeah.
So it's really just constant, never-ending improvement. How can I get to the next step? How can I be 1% better than the day before, and just keep that momentum going? So.
You had mentioned something earlier about utilizing, I guess, a clinical background, but actually as an effective way to influence a patient's behavior. And I think that was pretty interesting because, on our podcast, we don't get super clinical about things, but I do want to stress the importance of we need to know our stuff, right? Even though whether it is you're building your reputation, you're building your brand, whatever it is that you're doing, you're a pharmacist, you're an expert at medications, we need to know our stuff.
Yeah.
And we also have different ways of getting patients to take on certain behaviors, whether we're influencing adherence, whether we're trying to get them to understand why it's important to take their medication, but just basically have an influence on their behavior. So what was the unique way that kind of we don't really think to do usually to do that?
So for me, whenever I was first time looking at clinical trials, clinical data, and going through this evidence-based medicine idea, if you will, I never really saw that as an important piece of the puzzle for patients, for actual patient education. I always saw that as clinician talking to clinicians kind of thing. But what I realized, especially working with the diabetes program, that I actually use evidence-based medicine quite a bit for getting a patient to either be adherent or take a medication in the first place. The one we were talking about earlier, I had a patient that was on insulin. He was not controlled, and he's seeing a new endocrinologist. And the endocrinologist wanted to put him back on metformin because he had never been. There's no reason for him not to be on it. Type 2 diabetes, it's first line treatment, and there's no reason for him not to be on it. But so she really wanted to get him back on it. So he came to me and was like, "Why does she want this medication? I don't want to take it. I don't want to take pills for no reason." And so I brought up something called the HOME trial, which is a study that compared patients who were already taking insulin and adding metformin to it, comparing it just to the patients who were taking insulin alone. And I told him basically the results. So it was mostly the secondary outcomes that were important in that trial. But I talked to him and said, basically what they found is that it can reduce your chances of having a heart attack or stroke. It can reduce your weight gain from insulin itself. So you have less weight gain. It can lower your A1C by almost 0.5% by adding metformin. And you can basically go down on how many units of insulin you need per day. Some patients were as much as 19 units per day less. And so I basically talked to him about using that data from the trial, but spun it in a way he could clearly understand. And he was like, wow, all those things. Like, he ended up taking his metformin and getting back on it, and now he's adherent. And the endocrinologist was happy, obviously. And so, in that way, it was a short term, and I didn't have to go into super great detail about it and explain the statistics and all that. But it was a way to use a clinical trial and actually make a difference in that guy's life.
Or should we take a question from Instagram?
We got one.
We got one. Okay, so first let's do yes. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break to.
It's never been done before.
Yes, I'm super excited. What's the question?
So the question is, what are some techniques you use to increase patient compliance? It's a major problem with many of the patients I have encountered.
Can I go first?
Dr. Waith, yes.
Thank you. Yes.
The answer is
connect with them.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Agreed.
yes, so one of my let me go see this
Yeah.
person. So there we go. Hey, how's it going? So one of my ways that I think is really helpful to getting patients to be adherent is by connecting with them. Hey, wave. So is connecting with them. So whether it be on a front of, finding out that they also like football, which is one of my favorite sports, or whether it's finding out that they love Disney, or whether it's learning about their cousin who likes something that you do. Having that connection with that patient, I think, actually gets them bought in to trusting you and to listening to the things that you have to say, which is usually about the importance of taking their medication. So to me, that's like a tool, which is not like a physical or tangible tool per se, but I think it's something that I found that's very helpful for getting me to getting my patients to be adherent. Awesome question.
Yeah,
Really good question.
Okay.
and I think, too, just to add on to that a little bit, I think that it's very patient specific. It may be just a matter of the patient has a hard time remembering to take their medication. So in that case, providing tools. There's a lot of free aids that you can use for people, whether it's schedules they can print out. If it's a community pharmacy that you're involved with, or the patient is getting their prescriptions at, you can call the pharmacy, have them put them on an automatic refill or whatever it is. And then also explaining the reason why behind these medications. I know me personally, if somebody tells me I have to do something, even if that person is an expert, I have a hard time automatically just saying, well, I guess I'll just do it. And I want to know the why behind it. And so for me, I'll explain if a patient wants to take a statin and they're like, well, I don't know why I needed to be on this medication. I'll say, well, it's looking at your 10-year risk reduction of having a heart attack, stroke. We have you healthy now. We want to keep you healthy long term. And explaining that why, and not just because I have a white coat and I said so, I think is a huge benefit.
Yeah, I would actually. That was my point. You stole it.
Yes.
Sure. But no, the why is important, especially when you're trying to tell someone how to take a medication, like Synthroid in the morning or Fosamax. In the morning, take if you just say take your Fosamax first thing with a glass of water, and that's it. You don't explain the why. That's not going to lead to adherence. But to what's Mike's saying with statins, that's my go-to example. Let's say they're on simvastatin, and you say take it at bedtime. Well, if you just say that, well, I forgot, so take it in the morning. Well, it's most effective at bedtime because that's when your body generates cholesterol and this and that. Oh, so it's going to improve the effect. So things like that, just the little things that really drive home the why, and also having, like what Rich said, with having that relationship, that's huge, because you can tailor that to the patient. So you can say, like, one of his examples was football. Let's say there's a famous football player that has diabetes, like, oh, so-and-so, he has this condition too, and then tie it back into that. So instead of just reading a pamphlet or regurgitating what you studied, taking that information, simplifying it, and delivering it in a way that that patient can understand in a topic or realm that they are passionate about will really pique their interest. Because let's say they hate going to the doctor's office. Well, your doctor said, immediately they tune out. But if they love football, and you're like, oh, football, they're tuning in. So having that is really important. Combining those facets will really allow that to happen.
So I also wanted to take this time because, he mentioned, being a new pharmacist. So I just wanted to take this time and give a shameless plug to my new book.
Like, I set that up?
First time pharmacist. Knock that out of the park. Knock that softball out of the park. Thanks, bro. Yeah, available on Amazon. You can get a paperback Kindle and iBooks coming soon. But anyway, let's move on. Was there another question over here?
And also the audio version, right?
Oh, and the audio book will be coming probably in the next couple months, hopefully. So, recorded by your one and only
Mike Corvino.